Tuesday, August 27th, 2024. Ms. Shirley, can you lead us in prayer, please?
God, pray, please. Dear Lord, we come before your throne of mercy and grace. First of all, we say thank you, Lord. Thank you for this day and many more days to come. We thank you, Lord, for your goodness and your kindness, God. But most of all, we thank you for your Son, Jesus, who you sent into this world to die for all our sins, Lord. Thank you for this meeting, Heavenly Father. Let us do it in kindness and understanding, because we love you, Heavenly Father. Lord, I thank you for everything today and many more days to come. In Jesus' name, in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, thank you. Amen.
Please join us in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Secretary, can you do a roll call, please?
Debbie Odom.
Present.
Shirley Anderson.
Present.
Randy Bishop. Here. Bo Crackers. Absent. Angela Ferguson. Absent. Martin McDermott.
Present.
Matthew Peters.
Present.
Josh Oates.
Present.
We have four.
All right, that brings us to approving our agenda. Has everybody had the opportunity to look at it?
Move to accept agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Approve the June 25th, 2024 public hearings and regular meeting minutes. And the July 23rd regular meeting minutes. And the August 15th special meeting minutes.
I'm gonna be out.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. All right, that brings us to old business. That brings us to the Paul Kent and Wendy Kent matter. Is there anybody here to speak on that?
Hello, Rob Living, on behalf of the Kent. And I'll be glad to answer the questions about the map. Generally, it's just an exchange between adjoining landowners, and they're adjusting one lot line while they're at it, just to equalize acres that involves adjoining landowners and equal.
So, I believe the reason it got tabled last time was because we kind of had some discrepancies of who was involved in it. Is that what happened last time?
There was no new chapter.
There was nobody here to talk, just to talk through. So, you have the area being exchanged at the top of the map here that has an existing shed. That is gonna go to Miss Marie Peters. Is that who's gonna,
Would you like me to approach and look at your map with you? I don't actually have it.
I'm just.
I'm the surveyor effective for this project.
That might be. Sir, could you introduce?
I'm Brad Roberts, Gulf Coast Survey Solutions. Yeah, I guess I did this thing a couple of months ago for Miss Wendy.
So actually, this area here that you see, area being exchanged with the shed is actually going to Paul. That's right, slide 3A to the north there.
That's correct. And there's a small triangular portion of property, kind of to the north of the existing driveway, that's being exchanged and going to lot 2A, if you see that there.
In the southwest corner of 2A, you see that area's being exchanged, 0.89 acres, that's being handed to.
That's right.
It's currently Julian Kent's property right now.
Mr. Paul Kent.
It's Mr. Paul.
It completely involves Paul Kent and Wendy Kent.
Paul and
That's
Wendy.
what
Okay.
That's right.
All right. So, what we see, we don't have just, we're missing the ownership on the top side. I think that's where the confusion came in last time, because we had Paul and Wendy's names on it. We didn't, this comes across as, shows across to be Miss Marie Peters right now.
Yeah, it seemed like they had, at one point in time, well, Miss Marie Peters is over to the west. If you see that dark line with the fence line, that's the boundary line of lot 3A. And so Mr. Paul owns lot 3, which, we're proposing, that be, after the exchange, that be redesignated as lot 3A as it encompasses, the 0.819 acres. So, yeah, Mr. Paul owns that one, Miss Wendy owns lot 2.
Okay. So we would need a name on that agreement. That would have actually cleared up some of
Okay.
what was going on the other day. Because we just couldn't tell who and where things were going.
Sure.
So, anybody else have anything they want to?
Where's lot two? Where's lot two? I'm sorry, I don't see just lot two by itself.
Well, lot 2 is actually lot 2A before the exchange, so when this southwestern corner is appended to lot 2, it becomes 2A.
Right. Should be.
Is there anybody else here who wants to speak on this map? Let's close the public hearing.
Second.
Take a step with the name and it. All right, so.
So we'll add Mr. Paul to the north side and Miss Wendy on 2A.
Yes, please.
Okay.
That would make it a little bit easier to understand. So, all right. Great. Mr. Secretary?
Debbie O. Shirley Ann.
Yes.
Andy Bishop. Mark McDermott. Yes. Matthew Williams.
Yes.
John Jones.
Yes. Thank you. All right. That brings us to the George Turner map. Is there anybody here to speak on that map?
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman, fellow members of the board. My name is Reverend George Turner. I'm here to speak on behalf of my map. Any questions?
So, Ms. Turner, I think the last time you were here, we were having a discussion over a lot line discrepancy with some of your neighbors out there.
Yeah.
And, there was that, and there was some conversation about right-of-way going through a piece of property that Mr. McKnight owns. Have those, the map here does not show, the map we have, unless you have another map to look at, doesn't show that the lot line issues were addressed or the, servitude issue on the McKnight property. Have those issues been addressed?
To my concern, they have been addressed, but to the information that you have is not accurate. First of all, that particular property has been in my family since 1945. Now, those so-called families who are complaining, they were not even out there at that time.
Understand that?
Okay, and by the fact, a couple of them, they weren't even born.
Well, I do understand that.
Okay, now, I was just listening to the, surveyor who just left to the prior, map that y'all was discussing.
Yes, sir.
He made a statement that caught my attention.
Okay.
He said that on that map that they had, the dark black line was the, boundary line of the property.
Well, and it is, I mean, that's what they're calling a survey line on that map, kind of two different situations. He doesn't have a map well, and he's not facing the road, but he doesn't have a map that disagrees with that lot line either. They have, where we're running into the issue is, we do have people with maps that the lot line's not regional right there. And I can't do much with it when I have, how would you like for me to take property from you? If it does legally belong to them, I would be taking property from, or we would be taking property from those people that belong to those people there. I'm not trying to make it more difficult, but it comes into a civil matter that we just can't address here. And they brought the maps in, we've seen the maps for them, that's kind of where we stand with those issues right here.
Okay, let me comment on that.
Absolutely.
First of all, they can't prove that that property is theirs, because that property was provided
for the, to the parish as a public road. That used to be a gravel road. And when they made it an asphalt road, they made it a little smaller. So the property they talking about was the original gravel road. Now, my property been through a succession and everything. The boundary marks has been set. I can't change that.
I do understand where you're coming from, but when we're presented with the other map that has a discrepancy, and there's, I know there was some baseline for the, I'm using the wrong thing, the wrong word, help me with this.
Boundary issues.
Boundary, it's not my map, there. Not my map, there, there. Not my map.
But it does come in, I mean, when we're talking about lot lines and property belonging to different people, it's a civil matter. You can't make the decisions, and we can't make the decisions here.
Yeah, I understand what you're
And that
saying.
has to be addressed between you and the neighbors.
No,
And
no, because it's not a civil matter, okay? You all are making it a civil matter. Now, when you look at their property, you see that their property has that boundary line in front of it. Not my map, their map.
no, their map shows the line on the side of it.
Okay, can I see the map?
Do we have a copy of it?
They're not here.
They didn't bring the maps.
No.
It, and I know it's been an ongoing issue, and I'm not trying to make an issue, it keeps it's being brought back up, but those things have to be dealt with. There's nothing I would be taking property from somebody.
But when you're not taking property from nobody, this is what I'm trying to share with you. I'm not in the business of taking property from people myself.
No, I mean, and I'm not, absolutely not saying that, but if we would make a decision on this map, we would be.
I'm just trying to share with you all, is that the information that you all have been provided is not accurate. That's all.
There's nothing interesting until the civil
Okay,
issue.
you mind if I show you what I have?
Absolutely. Show me what you have.
This is kind of road. This is okay, now, their property is outlined. On this side.
This is,
That is where the original road was.
This is the same map we're looking at.
Yeah, but this is.
I have two, this is the map. I have two issues with these maps.
Okay, this is the map that was in the succession. This is the map that was in the succession, and I can't move it. This is.
This is the existing map here?
Yes, same one.
This existing map?
Same one.
Okay. There are two problems with this one. One of them is a surveyor's issue, because you can't have a base bearing without having a marker found. There's not a marker found on this map at all, going by his own legend. Calculated points, and right, he said, you can't even start the map, it's correct, it won't work. And then the other thing is, well, this is existing lot, and if you have a servitude, you can't go across that man's lot unless he signs over here. You gotta move the servitude over totally on your property.
Why does the servitude, no, his property is,
This one right here, existing acre.
his property is 200 feet.
Yeah, but it's his property, you can't run a
I'm not
servitude
saying what
across
you're
it.
saying, but
See what I'm saying?
that's what you're saying. But main concern is the compliance.
Well, they got, first of all, he's gotta come up with a base bearing to start this map at a pound marker.
Wherever he draws from, gotta be a bound marker. He can't start with a set in a rod or a calculated point.
Anyway, my property is
Survey
not
road.
on this property, on mine.
Survey road.
The problem comes in, getting two maps, and here's probably where the discussion is coming in, is right here, it's this line right here. It has to be dealt with. We can't make a decision on the map until those issues are dealt with. And those individuals, whether they just have to sign off on it, I have not, other than having seen the map, I have never spoke with the individuals. But once I've seen the map, I can't make a decision on it. And that, it involves them. And it would be no different than if you were crossing on their side a little bit and I was taking the property from you. You see what I'm saying? I can't do that. I mean, it's just, we can't do it. And I apologize for the inconvenience, but there's nothing you can really do with the map right now. You have three issues going on right here. Base bearing, is that correct?
Base bearing.
Your base bearing is not correct, and that's the word I was trying to find earlier, but, it's not, absolutely, sir. Yes, sir.
I mean, Mr. George, if whoever owns this existing lot, if he signs off, he don't care if there's a servitude across the back of his property. We're good, as long as he signs the map that says it's all right. That's the gentleman agreement between y'all. And as far as these other things here, on these other 2 or 3 people, put a boundary agreement on there, that this map, they're agreeable with the boundary line on this map being to the edge of Turner Road, and they sign off on it, then
It's a done deal.
it's a done deal for everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Kerner. Is there anybody else here to speak on this? All right, that's a good thing. Let's move the table. Mr. George Turner's map. So moves that. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. All right. Let's move, you wanna move C and D to the end? Go ahead and get people maps out, make a motion.
Second.
You want me to do that?
You can do that.
Okay. All right, so that brings us to our maps. They've been advertised as required. That brings us to the William Ormsby map. Is there anybody here to represent that map? Sir, if you please take the podium, introduce yourself.
My name is Philip Snoddy. I do the work for the surveyor on that line.
I'm looking for the map right now. It's small. Okay. Could you give us a brief description of what's going on here, please?
This particular map showing the property of Scott Hornsby, which was track E2A1. And he's taken different tracks in there, separated for his children. So this is just a family fortune. And William Hornsby already owns a track, E2A2. He will be getting track E2A1B added to his. And then track E2A1A will go to his daughter, Mary.
So this one, on the E2A2.
Yeah, that's already existed.
E2A1B, they are, they're removing that lot line on that one?
Yeah, that's got, that particular line between the two got moved a little bit.
Okay.
There was an error in the previous survey of about 25 points, so William Hornsby, that track would be reduced a little bit.
Okay. So,
So he'll have to take this map and go get a act of correction of his lot, so that his dad will be able to give the map lot to him.
yeah. So, right now, we don't have access.
There's to A1B.
Oh, I see it all. It's
It's all, this is swamp. It's sand. There isn't any, there's no road there.
They'll have the whole, right, they'll have the whole.
Well, they'll have the whole thing. so-
But in this map, they're not removing the lot line, so he has to have it, legally, he has to have a certain new kind of. Okay. Alright. Anybody else here to speak on this map? Let's close the public hearing.
Move to accept the map.
Second.
Secretary?
Debbie Yoder,
Yes.
Shirley Anderson,
Yes.
Andy Bishop. Yes. Martin Jeremy.
Yes.
Matthew Peters.
Yes.
Josh Oakley.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you. Alright, that brings us to the Browning Estates map. Is there anybody here to represent that map?
Rob Williams here on this matter, well, actually, a court-appointed attorney on this particular map. I was appointed by the court to effect a judicial partition involved probably, I guess, about 20 years. And this map is the result of the judgment of the court and the suggestion of the surveyor and appraisers on how to divide the property. And I have a copy of that map. Okay. I have a copy of the judgment too, if you.
You don't need to go ahead and accept that.
The reason for my appearance.
Absolutely. So this is pretty simple, so, Robinson Road runs dead into the property.
Right smack in the middle, we took the existing road and split it right in half, give access to both tracks.
Okay. And that's pretty simple.
And that's where the existing access to the property is.
That's where it comes in on it. Okay. Is there anybody else to speak on this map?
Sign this before we leave.
Oh,
That's true, I haven't signed, but I'll be glad to. I didn't,
I mean, we have to,
sign it.
Yeah.
I'm sure the statements are correct. I'm sure they are, but.
I'll be glad to sign it now or after the meeting.
Alright. Anybody else to speak? I'll close the public hearing.
Move to accept the map.
Second.
Secretary? No one pulled those out.
Debbie Yoder,
Yes.
Shirley Anderson,
Yes.
Andy Bishop.
Yes.
Martin Jeremy.
Yeah.
Matthew Peters.
Yes.
Josh Oakley.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
That brings us to our next map, the heirs of Lawson Cannon, I apologize. Is there anybody here to speak on that map? All right, could you give us a brief, introduce yourself and give us a brief of what's going on?
Yes, sir. Brad Roberts, Gulf Coast Survey Solutions. This is very, very cut and dry, very simple deal. There's an existing, 48.82 acre tract, kind of narrow and deep. There are 6 heirs, and they're splitting this tract into 6 equal pieces, just to get it in each of their names. I believe on the map, Mr. Lawson Cannon, Jr., I believe he signed in the wrong place. They're all split up over all over the United States, all these heirs. So we had to, that it took two months to ship these things around the U.S., getting signatures on this thing. So if he signed in the wrong place, you guys will, ignore that. That definitely make things a lot easier.
Any sound plans on it?
That's right. Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, I spoke with Mr. Lewis about that, and he said that was fine with him, that whoever is gonna sign the map can just sign in another place, as I explained the situation. And he said that will be fine. Excuse me.
I don't know where it would really make a difference, because the signature, the
far as access goes, we just, you know, we put a all-purpose servitude on that northern property line for access and utilities.
And our moratorium does not affect single partitions.
He turned in prior to.
You look at dates, January.
This time,
Yeah, like I said, it took a long
You've been at
time to
this
get.
one for a
Yeah.
minute.
yeah, this
Well, it-
That's real easy, you're the surveyor, it's your map,
Yes, sir.
draw a line up there with his name,
Yes, sir.
initial it, you're good.
Okay, perfect.
And we can sign up, two of us can sign up one name.
Okay, that's great.
If you look at the assessor's roll, it says it's only 1 acre. Something, I pulled up the assessor's property on the description of it, it says it's lot 2A is 1 acre. See, I'm sure, gosh. Like that, so something didn't make sense, if you look at the description at the bottom, there, it says it's 1 acre, lot 2.
Now, keep in mind that this is the remainder of the original lot 2 of the SL Cemetery property. Now, whether or not the tax assessor has, I mean, obviously, we're aware that tax assessor GIS databases are commonly wrong.
Oh, okay.
It's, you know, just one of those things, especially when they start selling off portions of property, you know.
So and that's listed in just the gentleman's name.
Right.
The Lawson can by himself. Who was the original owner of the property? It was in a cemetery.
I believe it was the SL Cemetery property.
And again, if this is wrong, I'm just going by what they have.
No, sure,
online.
not uncommon, you know.
But it describes everything, it's got section, township, lot number and everything, so that's why.
Yeah, I think I would actually refer you, if you were gonna look at any documentation, I'd refer you more to the conveyance book and page numbers over the tax assessor. You know, those are gonna be your legally binding documents versus that tax assessor database. If you look in the upper left-hand corner, we've got reference documents of the partition of lot 2 of the SL Cemetery place. We denote the conveyance book and page number. An additional survey by Mr. Jack Hodges in 1990 with mention number. If you're gonna look at any of them, I'd refer to those documents.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We have a motion by Mr. Matthew. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Debbie O,
Yes.
Shirley Anderson,
Yes.
Andy Bishop. Matthew, I'm sorry, Martin McCarron.
Yes.
Matthew Peters.
Yes.
Josh Elliott.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
That brings us to the Bobby Dale Castello map. Anybody here to speak on that map?
Derek Smith, survey of record. Castle, here as well, we just wanna put up some of the property for his daughter, daughter's family, move out. That's the overall intent of the survey, so. Any questions?
Is there anybody else here to speak on this map? Close the hearing.
southwest river track, that's existing already. You swear.
They're taking B out of C, basically, or B out of what was existing, but the larger piece is becoming C now. If you create a case, now,
I'm good with that.
Second.
Second.
Debbie Oaks,
Yes.
Shirley Anderson,
Yes.
Andy Fisher,
Yes.
Mark McDermott.
Yes.
Matthew Peters,
Yes.
Josh Evans.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right, that brings us to Kathy B. Fullerton map. Is there anybody here to represent that map? Please introduce yourself and give us a brief of what's going on with the map.
Good evening. Joseph C. Dietrich, Broadman to Kathy. She's subdividing the 15 acres of a large portion of her 200 acre property. Hockaday Road in the front has utilities, and she borders Charlie Lockwood's property on the creek on the east side.
So, the new lot line is following the creek bed?
Creek bed, center of the creek bed would be the actual survey from Charlie's original survey. And then there's a creek on her south side that runs back toward Charlie's property. It's a pie-shaped piece of property, 15 acres.
Is there anybody else here to speak on this map? Let's close the public hearing.
Move to the second.
I see.
Debbie Oaks,
Yes.
Shirley Anderson,
Yes.
Andy Fisher,
Yes.
Mark McDermott.
Yes.
Matthew Peters,
Yes.
Josh Evans.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, sir. All right, that brings us to the end of our maps. We need to go back to our C and D and old business here in a second. We wanted to get, we had two issues that people needed to deal with the maps, so they don't have to stay. You had an issue you needed your maps for, right? Let's get those to you right quick before we enter in this other. That's the one with all the signatures on it.
Come back.
What's the other?
I think it's a small map.
And the map, yeah, all included money.
Yeah.
So that's just a special piece.
Okay.
All right.
I got so bad.
to old business.
How long is it gonna take you to
It's, our C and old business was discuss and make a recommendation for the zoning ordinance revisions concerning R1 minimum lot size. Mr. J.R., did y'all work on that anymore with the engineer, or has that?
He hasn't done anything. I
They've
mean,
been-
I basically I haven't heard from him since we had a meeting on the fifteenth.
They've been substantially involved with some stuff like this, so
Yeah.
they've been substantially involved, so, let's table that.
I moved to table that, because
We don't have any more information to work with the minimum lot size.
So
If you don't mind, I'm sorry to interject.
Yes, sir.
What is the proposed change?
So the discussion is to go to a 2-acre minimum lot size for the parish.
Throughout,
Sorry?
throughout the parish?
Throughout the parish, yes, sir. And, the discussion as well, it won't affect, family division, but it will affect all purchase being, all developed property being done.
What's you got? Is there any consideration for low-income families being separate from this?
It, unless you're following in the family petitions, the 2 acres will, I mean, that's the discussion, nothing's been done yet. Right, there is none.
Any of our discussions on the
No.
15th, was there any discussion?
You could request a variance.
Okay, the reason why I asked that question because in the, police jury, state statute, it requires that the police jury has special consideration for the poor and parents.
Right.
And a 2-acre for a poor family would be a hardship.
Well, I understand that. I understand where that idea is coming from, but, honestly, right now, on the 2-acre deal, we're acting on requests from the police jury, so if you would like to honestly discuss that, that's where that came from. So
Okay,
2
okay.
acres, that came from the police jury. So, all right, to table, do we need to motion or?
Yeah, when are we expecting something from this guy? We asked to have it before we came to this meeting, and asked him to have it before we came, so we at least look at it before we walk into this meeting.
I know, I'll defend them a little bit, they got a whole lot going on the last few days in the parish, that have taken their time, that
Some other things.
I thought we were gonna have, and everybody thought we was gonna have, so.
But again, I'll go back to, if we're gonna present something at our next meeting, we can send it out a couple of days in advance, so.
I spoke to them today, and I know Mr. J.R. and they had a discussion about you doing some of the work in it as well, and them, and I think the objective is, from his side, is the 2 of y'all to get together a little bit and see how it works, and see some of the changes, some of the stuff that truly makes sense, and truly, and then approach it from there. That was his
He's
discussion.
gonna, he's understand, we let him, he was gonna ink it up.
Right.
But that's the easiest thing for him to do, ink up what we provided, and what he had, what we provided, ink it all up. And we don't need to pay somebody in his firm to do it. I already have it solved, they don't need to start from scratch, start typing.
I mean, unless things are long, we're willing to spend the time to do it. Plus, we gotta get things put together enough and bring it to the police jury and see if they're approving it too. So, I mean, we're gonna have to get it together enough that we can bring to it, present it to them in a meeting, and they say yay, nay. Because this is very much as simple for them, the way things are set up, is to say, no, we don't wanna do it, and we have to be willing to deal with those issues.
So it's not gonna be another month before we get to that point.
We can have that discussion in a minute, whether we're gonna.
As soon as I can get the information, it'll take me a day or two to do it.
Right.
And then we can do a special meeting.
Do y'all wanna try to do another special meeting 2 weeks from now?
Probably, I get it done and then call it after it was done and give everybody a week to look at it.
Get that done from their side, from.
Yeah, I mean, I can get it to the board members here, out, and once I get it smooth, all thing it takes to call a special meeting is you.
Is there any reason not to call a special meeting and schedule one preliminary so it gives us a date to work to? Do you you see what I'm saying? If we wanted to do one 3 weeks from now, and that would give everybody time to move ahead. I think you would have.
Oh, yeah, you gotta have
It's gotta be
that.
advertised. Yeah,
It'll be on the 17th.
that'd be 3 weeks.
And then what you do, Penny, you don't have the information, it's not being,
We have to call, we just call
Okay.
them, call. I mean, that's, we don't have it, but there's been locked.
well, you know, that they, if it wasn't gonna be a.
Well, I've been talking to
Reduction
them, and
date.
they just have not been able to.
Okay.
17th?
Yes.
All right. Let's get rid of these two items first. Let's table, let's get a motion to table the C.
I'll make a motion to table both items, we have to,
You can take them both.
Okay.
I move we table, C and D,
Okay.
for lack of information.
C. D is just discuss the changes to
Changes.
subdivision ordinances.
Okay.
So,
I say.
all in favor?
Aye. You want to do a roll call, Mr.
I
Secretary?
have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What agenda are we looking at?
Yeah, I'm looking, this says A and B under old business.
It's C and D. Y'all
C and
printed,
D
y'all have
under,
what y'all printed.
Old business.
Okay.
Y'all
I want to print it the last one I said, that's why.
Who's on first? Who's on first?
Sorry.
That's all right, it was right here, I said, no, I got my notes on this one.
Yes.
We're the wrong part. Okay, y'all look at it.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
I did run it out.
All right, that, all right, so that brings us to, police jury. Anybody from police jury have anything for us? Ms. Nikki?
I just wanna ask, what is the advertisement for the paper for the special meeting on the 17th?
What was the one last time? How was it phrased? It'd be basically the same.
Okay.
It was basically the same as last meeting. All right, legal advisor, nobody's here. Public comment, would you mind to take the podium?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
This is really for the police jury, but, I bought that voter precinct building for the police jury on Highway 955. And, what would y'all think the zoning of that piece of property is? It's been a precinct building since 1949. That was the usage for it.
Probably has no zoning. I would imagine being that it's a government building something out there. Because somebody was having a discussion with another one that never was zoned at all, nothing ever happened.
Where's it located?
I don't know, I mean, I
On
don't know.
955, between 19 and 957.
That's that little long building, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a 16 by 72 foot, cinder block building.
Lot of couch trailer basically out there.
Yeah, I thought we just gonna fix it up either for residential or commercial. The neighbor, I spoke with him, he'd actually prefer someone use it for commercial, that someone would be in it 24/7 if they, sold it. And I just bought it, fixed it up, and flipped it, I'm not planning on keeping it rented, but. And I know it's really a question for the police jury to see what they would say. I mean, everything around is residential, but there's commercial around too that's not officially called commercial, so. And if I need to go through that process to get C1 zoning, we will, or won't, and let whoever buys it do it, but the neighbor would prefer it be used for commercial. So anyhow, I just wanted to see what y'all thought about it.
It would have had a commercial use before, so
Huh?
it would have had a commercial use being a voting booth before.
Well, it's been occupied for 6 months, and so that was another revision that we did to our ordinance. So if it's been vacant for 6 months, it reverts back to its original, which I'm guessing, Jeff, would be A2.
How many acres was it?
It's called half an acre, it doesn't have
Half an acre.
3/10 and 4/10 of an acre.
I don't know, I mean.
Well, I didn't expect that, so I just want to hear y'all's thoughts
If
about
you
it.
go to the jury, and the jury says it's commercial, everyone just said zoning.
Well, I know, I wanted to get y'all's feedback, so I
I mean,
appreciate
a lot of that
it.
stuff didn't have anything. Somebody was looking at something the other day, and it was one of the government buildings, and it didn't have, like, it had never been touched, like, you couldn't even identify it. It had been there so long, so I mean, I don't see a problem with one of them. Now,
Nice to see you too.
Thank you. That's awesome. Yeah, I think too, Lord, I get so pretty selective of what I do. Didn't take long to break it, did
That's probably the best place for you.
Yeah.
You been doing well?
Oh, yes.
Good to see you, Kurt.
Do they own it?
I go back up now.
A lot more selection.
Yeah.
I don't see things like that. I just tell them, you clear me a highway.
That's right.
Good access.
Take care of it.
Of course, they can't do that, that's a offense. Otherwise, I'm not going to.
That is the truth there.